Part 1, The Apple of Discord, the war begins. The Trojan War didn't begin with swords and soldiers, it began at a wedding. Peleus, a mortal, married the sea goddess Thetis. All gods were invited except Eris, the goddess of discord. Angered, she came anyway and threw a golden apple into the crowd. It was inscribed to the fairest. 3 powerful goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, claimed it. To settle the dispute, Zeus sent them to Prince Paris of Troy to judge. Each goddess offered him a bribe. Hera promised power and kingship, Athena offered wisdom and victory in war, but Aphrodite promised him the most beautiful woman on earth, Helen of Sparta. Paris chose Aphrodite. But Helen was already married to King Menelaus of Sparta. Paris sailed to Sparta, seduced Helen, and brought her back to Troy. Outraged, Menelaus called on all Greek kings to honor their ancient oath to protect Helen's marriage. Led by his brother Agamemnon, the Greeks united, launching a massive expedition to retrieve Helen and punish Troy. That moment sparked one of the most legendary wars in myth and history. Part 2, The Greek Army Gathers, Heroes and Sacrifices. The call to war was answered by the greatest warriors of Greece, Achilles, Odysseus, Ajax, Diomedes, Nestor, and many more. Achilles was the mightiest, son of Thetis and immortal king. His mother dipped him in the river Styx as a child, making him invincible except for his heel. However, Achilles didn't want to fight. Thetis hid him among maidens in the court of King Lycomedes. Odysseus, known for his cleverness, tricked Achilles into revealing himself. Once exposed, Achilles agreed to fight. But the Greeks still couldn't sail. Artemis, angry at Agamemnon for killing a sacred deer, caused the winds to die. A prophecy said Agamemnon must sacrifice his daughter Iphigenia to appease her. With a heavy heart, he did. The winds returned, and the fleet finally set sail. They reached Troy and began a siege that would last 10 years. Battles, alliances, and betrayals awaited them. The gods themselves chose sides, and the fate of heroes and nations hung in the balance. Part 3, The Long War, Glory, Rage, and the Death of Heroes. For 10 years, the Greeks fought the Trojans outside the walls of Troy. Many battles were fought, but the city held strong. The gods watched and interfered. Hera, Athena, and Poseidon favored the Greeks, while Apollo, Aphrodite, and Ares stood with the Trojans. One of the most dramatic moments came when Agamemnon took Briseis, a war prize, from Achilles. Furious, Achilles refused to fight. Without him, the Greeks suffered heavy losses. The Trojan prince Hector, noble and brave, led his army with honor. In a desperate move, Patroclus, Achilles' dearest companion, donned his armor and led the Greeks into battle. He fought valiantly but was slain by Hector. Achilles was devastated. He returned to battle, enraged, and killed Hector in a brutal duel. Then, in grief and fury, he tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it around Troy's walls. Eventually, King Priam of Troy came secretly to Achilles' tent and begged for his son's body. Achilles, moved by Priam's pain, returned Hector's body in a rare moment of compassion. Part 4, The Fall of Achilles, Tragedy of the Heroes. Achilles knew he would die young, but after Patroclus' death, he chose glory over life. He re-entered battle and killed countless Trojans. But fate caught up with him. Paris, aided by Apollo, shot an arrow into his only weak spot, his heel. Achilles died, and with him, Greece lost its greatest warrior. The war didn't end there. Ajax the Great and Odysseus both claimed Achilles' armor. When the Greeks awarded it to Odysseus, Ajax was driven mad with rage and shame. In a fit of madness, he slaughtered livestock thinking they were his enemies, and then, realizing his mistake, took his own life. Meanwhile, the Greeks brought back Philoctetes, who had been left behind years earlier due to a wound. He possessed Heracles' bow, prophesied to be essential for victory. With it, he shot Paris, who later died from his wounds. The Greeks also stole the Palladium, a sacred statue that protected Troy, weakening the city's divine shield. But still, the walls of Troy stood. It was not brute force, but trickery, that would finally end the war. Part 5, The Trojan Horse, The Fall of Troy. Tired after 10 years of war, the Greeks devised a final plan. Odysseus suggested building a giant wooden horse, hiding elite warriors inside, and pretending to sail away. They left the horse at Troy's gates as a gift and departed. The Trojans, thinking the war was over, debated whether to bring it inside. Cassandra and Laocoon warned them not to. But when Laocoon and his sons were suddenly killed by sea serpents, sent by the gods, the Trojans took it as a sign. They brought the horse inside the city and celebrated. That night, while Troy slept, Greek soldiers emerged from the horse, opened the gates, and signaled their army to return. The Greeks stormed the city, burned it to the ground, and slaughtered many. King Priam was killed, and Queen Hecuba, Cassandra, and other women were taken captive. Helen was reclaimed by Menelaus and returned to Sparta. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Many Greeks faced tragedy on their return journeys, especially Odysseus. The Trojan War ended not with triumph, but with ashes, haunting memories, and the fall of a once great city.